everyone. I am Shashank Hiremat. I am a second year undergraduate student at IIT Madras, and I am studying biological engineering in the Department of Biotechnology. Uh, so I am interested by neuroscience. So I think studying the brain is pretty cool, and I also like the interface between brain and AI and those kind of topics. So I think that's pretty interesting. I'll be talking about introduction to biotechnology. So let's get started. So biotechnology is basically the use of biological systems and their components in order to make a product or a process. So its main applications can be broadly divided into four industrial areas: the medical sector or healthcare, agriculture and crops, the industrial use of crops and other products like biodegradable plastics and biofuels, and environmental uses. Well, the term biotechnology first appeared in 1919 when it was coined by a Hungarian engineer named Karl Ereky. But biotechnology itself is nearly as old as humanity. So there were ancient Chinese dynasties that were using yeast to ferment their grains and produce beverages like rice wines. And this was as long ago as 4000 BC. Okay, so why is biotechnology important? Throughout millions of years of evolution, the life that we see around today has been tuned to ensure that they have a strong proclivity for survival and reproduction. And this makes them fairly efficient systems with highly complex structures and internal chemical reactions and so on. So if we tweak the already existing diverse tools in nature's toolbox, we can shift the paradigm of several processes and industries to produce more efficient and environmentally friendly products as well. So plants can be engineered to grow without pesticides, and they can be made such that they require fewer nutrients, and they can withstand harsh climate as well. Manufacturers have substituted petroleum-based ingredients with biomaterials in many consumer goods like plastics and fuels. In fact, biotechnology is present in our lives before we're even born, from fertility assistance to prenatal screening and to the home pregnancy test. So it follows us right through childhood with immunizations and antibiotics, which are essential, both of which have drastically improved life expectancy throughout the world. Biotechnology is also behind blockbuster drugs for treating cancer, heart disease, and other illnesses. And biotechnology is what's going to give us the vaccine for COVID-19. And it is going to provide answers to some of the mysteries in human health and other life. One of the famous computer science professors, Donald Knuth, said that he is confident that biology is going to provide enough problems for the next 500 years. So biotechnology is going to be a key component in interacting with the biology around us. Okay, so how does modern biotechnology work? Now, when we want to interact with biological systems, the key part is the information that they encode, and the information required for us to better modify a product or a process. Now, all the information in biological systems is encoded in its DNA. Now, in most biological systems, the rule of information flow is known as the central dogma of molecular biology. So you have DNA. DNA is transcribed to RNA, and that RNA is translated into protein. So that protein forms, proteins have a vast range of functions, right, from structural to enzymatic functions and so on. So most of the examples of modern biotechnology depend on our ability to analyze and manipulate pieces of DNA. Scientists modify DNA and subsequently the encoded proteins to shape the capabilities of living cells, plants and animals, so in order for them to do something useful for us. They do this by sequencing or reading the DNA that is present in nature and then manipulating it in a test tube that is in vitro, and more recently inside living cells or in vivo. Some of the most fundamental DNA techniques are: one, DNA cloning. Now, cloning is essentially just making copies of a certain piece of DNA that you have. So what scientists do is they take that piece of DNA and they cut off certain ends of it, very small pieces, so that the ends can stick to another circular piece of DNA called a plasmid. So I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but a plasmid is essentially this autonomous self-replicating piece of DNA that is present in a bacteria in many copies, and it keeps on producing copies of its own. So you can clearly see how it is used to clone a certain piece of DNA. And in some cases, this DNA in the plasmid is translated to a protein. And this is how we get insulin from yeast. We have put the insulin gene in yeast and take the insulin polypeptides and finally get insulin. So polymerase chain reaction, or PCR, it is one of the most important tools in biotechnology, so much so that some molecular biologists have divided the era of biology into the era before PCR and the era after PCR. So PCR is basically this process where it involves many cycles of chemical reactions which produce many copies of a target DNA sequence. So this is slightly different from DNA cloning. This technique is used to amplify DNA that is present in trace amounts, like a blood sample at a crime scene or a hair follicle at a crime scene and so on. We add a certain enzyme that was a famous discovery, and that enzyme keeps on replicating the process, and it grows in geometric size, right? So one cycle produces 2 strands of DNA, the next cycle produces 4, and so on. So with a few cycles, with a few 10 or 20 cycles, we can amplify to huge numbers into the millions and billions. The third technique is gel electrophoresis. So this is basically a technique used to visualize DNA fragments, and it's visualized in terms of its size. So what researchers do is maybe they take a PCR product or a piece of DNA and they cut it up into certain fragments using some enzymes, and they put it on the agarose gel. And now DNA is a negatively charged molecule, so they run the gel from between 2 electrodes, and the DNA moves towards the positively charged electrode depending on its size. So the smallest fragment moves very fast, and the larger fragments go very slowly. So you can see the DNA fragments are separated in regards to their size, and a chemical called ethidium bromide is added, or some of the chemicals in other cases. Now, what this chemical does is it intercalates between the bases of DNA, and when we shine UV light on the final gel after separating the fragments, we can see glowing bands of DNA depending on where the fragments are located. So this is a pretty cool technique. Now, the last technique is DNA sequencing, as I mentioned before. Now, DNA itself is a double-stranded molecule. So there are 2 anti-parallel strands that run around in a coiled helix. Now, each strand consists of 4 alphabets, A, T, G, and C, which are the nucleotide bases. There are several techniques of DNA sequencing itself. Now, each technique essentially aims to find out the exact sequence of A, T, G, and C in a fragment of DNA. Either it's done one at a time, which is difficult for big pieces, or what is normally done is the DNA is broken up into small fragments, and each fragment is sequenced, and all the data of all the sequenced fragments are taken, and then graph-based algorithms are used to interconnect those overlapping regions and form the final sequence of the original DNA strand. One of the most famous projects in molecular biology is the Human Genome Project. The aim of this was to essentially sequence the entire human genome, which has more than 3 billion A's, T's, G, and C's, nucleotide base pairs. Now, that was an international effort that started in 1990, and it cost around $2.6 or $7 billion to complete, and 13 years with a lot of collaboration between countries. Now, the amount of research and progress that is going on in DNA sequencing has reached such a level that today you can sequence your entire genome for less than $1,000, and that price is certainly only going to drop in the coming future. Now, if you're familiar with Moore's law, which is the number of transistors in a circuit, the cost is becoming half every year. The cost for sequencing the human genome has reduced much faster than Moore's law. It has just dropped after a certain year in time. I think it was 2007 when the price dropped by a large margin. Some applications of biotechnology, well, as I mentioned before, we have antibiotics, vaccines, and beer and cheese. The applications of biotechnology are very easy to see and very important to appreciate. Some cool applications of biotechnology are you can take the gene of for the protein that makes a jellyfish glow and introduce it into a rabbit or a mouse, and the rabbit or mouse then glows. So that's a pretty cool application. But there are far more interesting and important applications spanning various industries. I would like to quote the references, which are, I think, the article for Introduction to Biotechnology from Khan Academy, and another website, which is Future of Life or something.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe and click on the bell button as to not miss out any content. Contact us here.